Okay, we're getting into step 3 of healed. A, accepting forgiveness for yourself or others. Now, where have we been? Hey, honor God within yourself. We learn how to see through the eyes of God. Now that we feel that, we feel love. Not only do we learn that we really are love in our divine being, but now we can exercise love and we can express it. We can replenish ourselves. And now that we understand our divinity, now that we know that we are love, now we can look at our past. Because we're full of love, we can look at our past with a different perspective. And then we can see on the journey of a human, of a spirit, having a human experience to fulfill a soul purpose as we create heaven on earth, right? Then we see every event has a reason. And sometimes the most painful event gives us the courage, it gives us skill, it gives us the attitude, it gives us the epiphany or the gift that leads us to our soul purpose. So really what our past is about is not about what we've been through. It's about the meaning that we've assigned to those events. Now, once we honor God within ourselves and then we're loving, we can assign a higher meaning. We can see the timeline of events of our life, how it's brought us not only to where we are now, but either revealing our self-purpose and even fulfilling our self-purpose. So what is forgiveness really about? Let's talk about that. Well, forgiveness is not something that you give to another person. Like we say, I forgive you, right? Well, that's releasing the other person, but really what it is releasing the energy from yourself. Now, I know you all know this. I know, yes, we forgive, and really forgiveness is about ourselves. I know you get all that, but there's something a little bit different that maybe we didn't think about. So forgiveness is really related to your ability to love. Now, as we say that, you go, oh, yeah, that sounds familiar. But really, how much unforgiveness is there? You know that's the barrier to the whispers of God. The barrier to connecting to your own innate is getting your mind in the middle. And you know what that is? It's all the non-forgiveness. Non-forgiveness is what upsets our connection. And we can become more conscious when we release that energy. So forgiveness is really about your ability to give love. That's why exercise love is first. Forgiveness and love are the same. Forgiveness is actually exercising love. Yet we have to feel it first and exercise it before we can apply it that way. It's almost like a more advanced application. So when we do that and we understand forgiveness is about giving love, then forgiveness returns us to our innate state. Now there's a key word there. I could say return, and I did say as a matter of fact, but really our innate being never changes. It's more like, let me correct myself, it doesn't return us to our innate state. It reminds us, brings back to our mind of our innate state. And that's why forgiveness is a gift for ourselves. Right? Now it says that, hey, if you judge, you will be judged. Why? Because we experience what we give. So when I give forgiveness, what am I really giving to myself? Love. What am I giving to that other person? Love. Forgiveness is the next step in exercising love for yourself and others. Now in A Course in Miracles it says, judgment is born from perception. Of course, what did we learn before? Competition and comparison. The continual judgment is the continual process of accepting and rejecting, organizing and reorganizing. So accepting and rejecting, what's that mean? Judgment, right? What's organizing and reorganizing? That's the process of your brain. It needs structure, it needs certainty. I need to put this in a file. What file am I going to put it in? There's 15 different files. What file am I going to put it in, right? That's your mind. So judgment is born from a perception of mind function. That's why mind is a tool. That's why we go through that in H. So we understand that now. So in forgiveness, if we haven't forgiven, that's a perception. It's perception in our mind. Now here's the greatest irony. While our mind perceives pain, our spirit, divinity, only knows love. While our humanity experiences pain, our divinity identifies with love, right? That's why fear is learned and then fear is recorded in our brain. Fear is conditioned. It's conditioned. It's not who we are. So we are not our mind. We go through that. We're not our mind. We're spirit first, which is why you are more powerful than you think. Okay, when we believe and feel that we're spiritual beings first, love is easy. Seeing through the eyes of God's easy, which means forgiveness is actually easy. And there's a purpose. We look back at our life in the timeline, right? From past to present and future. We look at our past. All those events were taking us to the point where we are now. There's experience we could perceive as pain, and we're human beings. And yes, they hurt, and yes, we made mistakes, and yes, we have all that. Yet, it's the journey of a soul that is experiencing our humanity. How about that? So if it's in you, it will continually to be in front of you. What's that mean? If we hold the emotion of non-forgiveness, so there's a difference. You could say, I forgive. And in your mind, you forgive. That's knowledge. But to release the energy of it, that's experience and that's wisdom. So the meaning is the energy and the emotion that stores in your body. Because we have emotion, you store it in your body. So when energy is stored, it's like a prison cell. Just got shut, that door got shut and locked. Because until you release the emotion, that cell door to the prison cell is locked and you can't get out. Non-forgiveness is an energy. It's not just a decision. You can decide, but until you release the energy, it still is harbored in your body. And until that energy is harbored in your body and literally mined out of your body like a mine, you're mining it out, until that gets out, it still vibrates in your body regardless of what you think. So here's the thing. Here's a great principle to understand. This came to me in a vision as I was writing this chapter. There's no forgiveness in heaven. There's no forgiveness in the spirit world. Why? There's only celebration. Why? Because the spirit is going through a human journey. No matter what we have to go through, that is part of our journey to our soul purpose. So the spirits that are supporting us that we may not see with our anatomical eye celebrate our human experiences. Okay, I read about this in a book, Embraced by the Light by Betty E. It's a great book. I had a near-death experience. The book talks about she died, saw Jesus, went to heaven. Jesus showed her how heaven and earth work. Really amazing book. But that resonated. So if spirits celebrate, and we're celebrating our human journey, and all the things that happen to us give us the skill, the courage, and the faith, and the belief to move forward to fulfill our soul purpose, then they all have a reason. There's no forgiveness in the spirit world. There's only celebration. In our world, in the human world, we need forgiveness. Why? Because if we allow those emotions to build up, that becomes our disconnection. Our emotional noise is too loud. That means the emotional noise in our head and our body is so loud that we can't hear the whispers of God. We can't hear the whispers of our intuition that are guiding us into and toward our soul purpose. So forgiveness is for us. It doesn't exist in the spirit world. And what it does is it returns us, that release of energy, the quieting of the noise, of the emotional noise. Releasing that allows us to get quiet from the inside out. Why? Because God, the universe, our innate, is in the space between the notes and the music. It's in that silent space between the seconds, between clock time, between the events. It's in the space between the breaths. It's that still quietness that we connect from God. Now, how do we do that? We got to get rid of all the emotional noise. Now, here's the deal. When you forgive and you release the energy, forgiving is really forgetting. Forgiving is really forgetting. Now, people say all the time, well, I forgive, but I don't forget. Why? Because I'll never do that again. Well, how do you feel when you remember it? So that's the question. If I'm not forgetting, then how do I feel when I remember it? Because if I remember it and I have resentment, how many times you get in an argument with a loved one and well, 2 years ago, and you did this, and how are they communicating? They have anger and frustration and resentment and rage and jealousy, right? Why? Because that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't something you decide in your mind. Forgiveness is a process of giving love, which means forgiving becomes love, which means I don't have those negative emotions, which means I released it, which means I opened the prison door, which means now I'm free, and although I'm not going to change the facts of my past, I can change the meaning. That means I don't have a need to bring it up. I don't have a need to remember. Now, I wouldn't say this to your spouse because unless they're going through this, probably not going to get you where you want, right? Unless you want to, boom, kicked in the nuts, so to speak. It's like, not really. But I mean, it might be a verbal kick. But that's probably not a good time to bring this up for the first time. It's probably good to watch this together. By the way, if you're going through this and you do have a partner, you want to go through this together because your consciousness is elevating and you want to grow together. You want unity in there, right? So the thing is, forgiveness is truly forgetting, because although it's a fact in your life, I don't have an emotion. So when I talk about it, when you talk about a fact in your life, you monitor how you feel. And if you have an emotion, you haven't realized it. But if you could talk about it like it's just a fact in your life, then you've released the emotion and you've truly forgiven. How cool is that? So when you have love, you don't need to remember the pain. That's why forgiveness is a process of exercising love. And that only happens when we love ourselves, which is why A is after E, and you can only love not only, but you love yourself when you understand your divinity and you see the eyes of God. Do you see? The divine order is so specific, and this was given, right? The more you exercise love, the easier it is to forgive, because the more you can release, the more you experience love. That's why knowing God, seeing through God's eyes before you forgive, makes it easy because you have compassion. So forgiveness just becomes easier. A becomes easier when you have the other two steps. Okay, therefore forgiveness really brings us back, reminds us, brings back to our mind to return to our natural state of our spirit, which is love and divinity. So get this, here's a big one, really? Are you ready? Sorry, ready? Forgiveness is truly an exercise in remembering. What are remembering? Our divinity. What else are we remembering? Everything has a reason in our life. What else are we remembering? We're a spirit on a human journey. What else are we remembering? We can experience in our humanity a whole spectrum of emotion, and we can celebrate all of them. What else are we remembering? We're connected with others. What else are we remembering? Forgiveness is for humans, but when we're conscious of our divinity, it's very easy because we always desire to return to love. And it's not, let me change that word, it's our desire to remember love, because it's who we are. Okay, gang, now we're going to go through a couple exercises in forgiveness. Get that? Watch this a couple times, because when you know this, the exercises are going to be easier. So don't rush through it. Get it, pause, stop, contemplate, take notes. Get that part we just talked about down, and these exercises will go smoothly, and you can let all that energy go, man. Open that prison cell of your humanity, move into your divinity, and then we can appreciate and have our spirit come through our humanity and live an amazing soul purpose-filled life.